I had a shocking revelation during the night in a dream, right? And when I gave birth to my baby, right, Leonie, I cannot explain to you how, to me, to actually give birth to a baby was insane. It was like I was only 16, 17, and like I say, I was a robot, so I didn't have any thoughts of my own. So when I actually saw a baby coming out with blood on it, I thought, this is a horror story, right? Because, and my mum said straight away, oh, she thought she was going to come out with bows on it. But no wonder, because the books all showed babies with little bows on their hair, and and plus the cord was wrapped around her neck. It was choking her. So they had to cut the cord. So every time I was pushing, she was being choked. So they had to cut the cord, and they cut her neck, and it was all bleeding. So it was just frightening. It was just frightening. And I had been screaming, and apparently I let loose some too much blood, and doctors were running in, and their faces were pale like I was going to die. And my mum was saying, just take the baby, don't take my daughter, take the baby, God, kill the baby. If the baby goes, I'll accept it, but don't take my daughter, don't take my daughter. So it was just a horrible situation. And I think my sister was at the bottom of the bed as well, and she was green. She was like hand over mouth, like looking like I was going to die. And I was coming in and out of consciousness, so it was just a horrible situation. And then when the baby came out, and she was blue, my daughter was blue, and I mean deep blue, and she wasn't breathing or anything. And in my head, because I was coming in and out of consciousness, I thought she was dead. So it was a horrible, horrible birth, right? And I was forceps and everything. Anyway, so when I had her, but then, right, her dad came to come and see her, and he just wrapped her up, and she was all wrapped up, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. They stared at each other for 15 minutes, pure stare, eyes, 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 and I was so happy. That made my womb relax, it made everything happy in my body. And he said, I think she's hungry, and I was going to breastfeed her, and my mum was saying, you will not breastfeed her in front of Shabazz. You will not breastfeed her in front of Shabazz. And I said, this is my baby, she's hungry, I don't care who's there. So I was breastfeeding her, and then he got chucked out of the hospital or something like that. So anyway, during the night last night, I had a dream, and the dream was, instead of Thomas chasing me about saying, because I went to go and get Leonie her first bra and her teenage stuff and shopping, and I was so happy, I can't explain it, because she was becoming a woman. And instead of Thomas being there, it was my mum, Betty, and she was basically hand up Thomas's back, making him go crazy, because she didn't want me to take Leonie out. And I thought, why not? And I thought, because my mum never did that with me, right? She never took me anywhere. She never had any let's go shopping, not once. She would take me out for lunch, or not take me out for lunch, make me pay it out of £36 that I had a week for me and Leonie. The lunch would come to £8, and she would say, let's half it. She had a 3-courser, and I had one salad, because I realised I don't even have money for this. So I had to pay for half of her food as well. So she would leave me and Leonie with no food, and we were left in a stinking house, right, that she had prepped up to make look like she was something. Anyway, the moral of this story is, my mum took my daughter off me, I would say about 2 years old, because Tim said to me, you don't love Leonie more than you love me, do you? Because you've known me longer. And I told my mum, and I laughed, and I said, he doesn't understand that she is me. So I'm not saying I love myself, but what I was saying is, you can't separate me and her. You can separate me and Tim. You can separate me and Nana. You can separate me and everyone else, but you can't separate me and my seed. It's just not going to happen. And I think instead of Nana, she was supposed to be laughing about it, but instead she was thinking, right, that's it, I'm going to have to split these two up. She was jealous of me and Leonie doing things. She was jealous of how beautiful Leonie was, how elegant she was, how kind she was, how generous she was, how friendly she was, how intelligent she was. She was jealous of everything. And I was putting everything I knew into Leonie, and do you know what? I didn't know anything. So do you know what I started teaching her? And this is no word of a lie. She was 2 years old, and some friends of mine will tell you, Dave and Annabelle. I would teach her, this is so sad, right? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Judges, all the books of the Bible. Now, she was 2 years old. She had no spelling mistakes. I used to go and clean my brother's house and he would give us money, right? And he was paedophiling on her at the same time, and I didn't know it then. So, that's why she used to cry and not want to go to his house, right? So, on the way there and on the way back, we had to walk about 25 minutes through Pollokshields to get to his house. So I would teach her Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and this tiny wee child, a year and a half old. And if she got it wrong, I would say, not Leviticus, it's Leviticus. So then my friends would all say, oh, let us hear your wee girl saying it. So she would go, clear her wee throat, and she'd go, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, and she would go through the Bible, right? Now, I don't know what came over me, but I thought, after she got to maybe the middle chapters, I thought, this is wrong. Why does my little girl have to know all the books of the Bible? Why? Because I must have realised this is not me teaching her this. This is something else. So anyway, we moved to Bruce Road, right, number 9, and we had the most beautiful garden in the back, and I let her loose. I said, this is your princess garden, and I can't tell you how beautiful it was. It was just amazing. So she was the cleanest little princess in the world. She had the most prettiest little dresses on, and she would skip through the garden and the fields, and I would watch her from the window, and she would talk to herself, right? She would be talking to the flowers, and she would be going, oh, this flower, and you're so lovely. You think I'm lovely too. Oh, and it was the most cutest conversation she was having, right? And see, to this day, when she's on the phone, I don't know if she does it when I'm not there, but even in my garden outside here where I live now in Blantyre, she was, as soon as we got here, she was on the phone. And what does she do? Pace up and down outside the house, looking at the flowers, flicking her hair back, chatting to her friends, doing the exact same thing. And that's why I love her so much. I have loved her so much, is because that baby is still there. Now, what happened to that baby? She was sexually abused by Harris and by Timothy. Don't say it wasn't true, Timothy, because she told me, and you have never ever come to speak to me, so I know it's true. You have a reason to be hiding from me. She didn't want either of you, right? Now, the moral of this story is, see that bond between mummy and daughter? For some reason, it's like the whole world attacks it. The whole world attacks it. It wasn't necessarily a bond. It was my gift to her.